So we're back. We're back and we can all hear. Yay. So I got some few choice words for Carmen later on about that. So I'll let you know. I'll call you after this and let
Choice
you know
words. I
those two.
hope they are words of God, please.
Listen, they're gonna be from God because they
I don't know about that.
So, listen to all of my Facebook family, YouTube friends, and followers. Thank you all for tuning in with us on tonight. Starting, this is the first time that I'm doing it. Every Monday, I'm looking to have individuals that will come on and we will have different discussions about the importance of health, wellness, wealth, whatever it may be. And so I think that it was very important that I had two of my friends that have been friends with me now for quite some time. Um, I think Bryant, Tim, and I, we've probably been friends maybe the shortest period of time, but we've all have been able to enjoy each other's company and through different professions that we've been a part of. So, so thank you all for taking the time to join in tonight. If you will, please hit like, hit share, so that we want to encourage everyone that can and that will to be a part of this discussion on tonight. So, all right. So I have two of my friends, like I was saying to you all. Number one, I have Carmen Dayne. She's from the DMV area. I'm going to give her an opportunity and a chance to share with us her who she is, where she's from, and all of that. And then, secondly, right after she introduces herself, then my friend Tim Bryant, he's going to come and introduce himself as well, sharing who he is, where he's from, and all that good stuff. So everything that they are willing to share, we're going to let them share on tonight. So, Carmen, I start to call your middle name.
Don't do it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Carmen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carmen Dayne. I currently live in Washington, D.C., and I am a yoga instructor, among other things. I'm also a financial officer and a group fitness instructor. But my main focus right now is yoga. I received my yoga certification after practicing yoga for about 7 years. And in practicing yoga, I like the feeling that I got after each class. So that's what kept me coming back more and more. I liked how calm and mellow I would be. And after a while of doing it, I wanted to learn more about it because growing up in the church, you hear different things about yoga or meditation. It could be for it or against it. And so I wanted to learn for myself more about yoga and meditation. So I joined a yoga teacher training program. Um, and now that that's done, I am starting an app, hopefully within the next week or so. And the app is called Blissful Healing Yoga, where we'll be able to practice yoga together, but also do meditation and breath work. And so that way I can make it a little bit more palpable for people to get into a yoga practice, get into some kind of practice where you're focusing on your breathing and you're able to clear your mind a little more easily. So that's all I had to say.
So I just want to put in a shameless plug that a few years ago I met Carmen through my brother, and so I actually helped her get on this path of so blissful and healing.
We don't
So,
believe that.
all right, Tim, tell us about yourself, please.
So my name is Tim Bryant, and I'm living. So despite my hat and my beard and this shirt, I'm not in Alaska. I'm actually not in the Yukon territory. I am in Florida. Born and raised in Gainesville, Florida, and I actually learned meditation after college. So it was 23 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. But I can still remember the first time I set the oven timer to 5 minutes and sat in the kitchen. And that was the longest 5 minutes of my life. And but meditation has been a huge part of my life ever since. And about 16 years ago, I started doing meditation classes in prison. And in California, Folsom Prison when I was living out there, and then in back here in Florida. And I would just go a couple times a month while I worked, my jobs and things. It was just a huge passion of mine. And to see the impact that it had on the people incarcerated was just really profound. So 2 years ago, I finally took the leap and started a nonprofit because I wanted to do this full time and do weekly classes and take this to so many people, as many people as I could. And so I started One Love Prison Meditation Project in 2018. And we went from 63 classes in 2018 to 25 classes a month in 8 different prisons the beginning of this year. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and all the prisons closed. But some of them have started opening back up again here in Florida. I'm not sure what's happening in Georgia. But anyways, we've started back our classes. But and I'll share a little bit more when I talk just about my personal journey, how much like meditation has helped me. And, the impact I've seen on other people as well. But I'm excited to be here and meet some new people.
Okay, well, I think that probably will be a good segue to kind of talk about how meditation has helped you. I know growing up in the household I grew up in, and even in the church that I grew up in, oftentimes certain things were taboo. You just assumed. So kind of share with us, how has meditation helped you over the years, over time? And then we'll come back to Carmen.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you bring up the church too, because one of the funny things I've always thought to myself is, I've heard different things about meditation in the church and stigma around it. But I remember I would think about Jesus being in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. And I would think, I guarantee you at some point in there, he had to just close his eyes and take a few breaths and meditate. And that he couldn't have been talking the whole time or praying the whole, I was like, he had to stop and pause at some point, 40 days and 40 nights in the desert alone. So I always like to think about that. So I think there's like 4 things that I wanted to draw attention to that have been really impactful for me. One is, so one of the very first things about meditation is it can be a huge just relaxer, just on a very like simple level. It can be one of the most relaxing things you can do. Studies show that it helps with stress. They're using it more and more in in the medical field. People going through cancer treatments and things, they actually will like have sessions for people to meditate. It's tremendous in terms of what it can do for anxiety. There's been great studies in prisons and stuff as well, where it showed they had groups that meditated every day and other groups that did not. And then they measured sort of the changes in them. And the folks who meditated every day for 15 minutes showed an improvement in their sleep, less violence, less reactivity. So there's tremendous benefits in that. But there's also sort of, you start to get into like the more spiritual aspects. And one of the things that I noticed in my journey was that the challenges that I would have in my life, the challenges with dealing with habits or dealing with issues that were happening in my life, what I began to notice is that they came because I was feeling discomfort inside and I was unable to deal with that. And so I would lash out. I would lash out at a person. I would want to do something to change the fact that I felt really uncomfortable inside. And so one of the things that comes up in meditation is people talk about it being peaceful, and it is. But it's not that easy. And I think that's one of the reasons why Carmen mentioned before we got on here, people say, I can't really meditate, because meditation isn't really just about sitting there and feeling good. A lot of times you sit there and you don't feel so good, because what I'm experiencing what's going on. I'm actually taking an honest look of what's happening in my mind, what's bothering me, what's happening in my emotional body. And sometimes that's discomfort. And one of the things that's so powerful about meditation is I just sit there. I don't get up. I don't yell at anybody. I don't reach for an entire cake. I don't like whatever millions of things that I could do because I feel uncomfortable. I learned to sit there and be aware. And in some ways, I would say start to become comfortable with my discomfort. And start to make friends with that. And so that is huge. That is huge because, like I said, I noticed that a lot of the issues that were happening in my life was me trying to run from the uncomfortable feelings I was having. And so what meditation teaches how to sit with those and to be with those and sort of unpack those. But then there's a beautiful thing that happens in the process of doing that, which I've discovered, is finding like great peace, tapping into a really beautiful joy that's inside. The kingdom is within. And I truly believe we know those wise, we know the run of the mill, like kind of thoughts that we have, negative thoughts that we have, but we know those wise thoughts that we have, those thoughts of wisdom that come up from within us, that come from God, but they come up inside of us. And I have found that through meditation, there's a connection with that place. And you create that connection, you foster that connection, and every day that connection is made stronger through spending that quiet time. And then I think the last thing I'll say for right now is just that the other powerful thing about meditation is that it doesn't end after that 15 minutes or 20 minutes. The benefit can happen. And in fact, we just had this conversation in prison this weekend with the guys. They said, this feeling that we do here in this class, they're like, this lasts me for 2 weeks. They're like, I remember this connection that I feel with myself. I feel this peace inside of myself when I sit down and just be with myself in this way. They're like, it lasts. And so that's that.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to the experience as far as in the prison system, because when you at first came to me, and I at the first prison I was working at, it was like a thunderdome. I mean, it wasn't just a thunderdome; it was a thunder cap, and we used to call it the trap. So, and I want to say it was one time you came and we were trying to get ready for class, but something popped off and we ended up having to, escort you out because of that. But okay, so Carmen, tell us about your experience. When did you first come to the experience of meditating or meditation, and how was that?
Sure. I've been meditating shortly after I started yoga. It's kind of like you think about yoga and then you're like, well, I need to quiet my mind down a little bit. So maybe about 5 years I've been meditating. But how I like to look at it is prayer is where I talk to God, and meditation is where I listen for something back. And so we have so many things that require our attention on a day-to-day basis. If we never sit down in stillness to quiet our minds, how do we hear from God? And how do we know his voice? So I would sit down, and like Tim said, it is hard in the beginning. 5 minutes feels like 50 minutes. You like looking up at the clock, like it's only been 1 minute. So you just have to learn how to like sit, be comfortable in stillness. And as you get more comfortable with stillness and then get comfortable with what's going on in your mind, because your mind can shoot from one thought to the next so quickly. and learning how to like slow all of that down so you can decipher through what's noise and the things that you really need to deal with in the present moment. So once I got better at that, which takes some time, it's not an overnight thing, but consistency is key. Once I got better at that, I was able to see how in my day-to-day life, it makes me a little more calm. I try to start my days with meditation and yoga. I do yoga and then meditation first. But the reason for that is I can tell a difference in how my day goes, no matter how much my boss may annoy me during the day or someone at work. I can tell a total difference on how it impacts me and affects me if I do these things before I start my workday. And go ahead.
So, okay, so there is a question, but before we get to that question,
Mhm.
what's the difference between yoga and meditation? What is the clear difference between the two?
So yoga is movement. Meditation is sitting in stillness. Now, yoga can be thought of as a moving meditation. So you can do yoga, you can still like clear your mind, which is why I liked yoga. I started off with vinyasa flow. So I'm like flowing and I can get lost in the movements.
Say that one more time. What is it called?
Vinyasa flow.
Okay. All right. I'm just
Um,
saying because, this is meditating 101 for some of us.
Yes.
For
Well,
nine.
that's the yoga. There are, a bunch of different types of yoga. People hear about hot yoga. So I can get lost on my mat and like working really hard. So vinyasa flow is more like a more physical practice where you do more like yogi push-ups and things of that nature. But at the end of class, there's always one pose called shavasana where you just lay there and it's quiet, and I'll spell it for you. Give me a second. Where it's quiet and you're just laying there. And a lot of times when I first started, I would fall asleep because I was so tired and I had gotten lost in the movements, and then I just would lay there and fall asleep. But eventually, yes, that's correct. Once I once I got into the practice and I was able to stay awake during shavasana, I was able to see how that impacted my thoughts, and then I moved on to meditation. Meditation is more just like sitting in one spot and then deciphering through your thoughts that way.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the question about yoga, which is from Sean Jackson, he said, "Can you all speak to why we see yoga more so in some cultures versus others? Example, particularly in the African American culture, yoga slash meditation is not really a thing that we take liking to. Why is that? How could we encourage towards it?"
Okay, so my answer for that with respect to yoga is I think it just depends on what you have had open to your mind. So, for example, I've seen pictures of Rosa Parks doing yoga and some of the people in the Black Panther Party doing yoga, like back in the day. But if you've always been taught certain things like yoga is devil worship or something like that, then that's going to automatically turn you off from even being open to the idea of taking yoga. And also in America, I think a lot of men, specifically Black men, are kind of turned off from yoga because when you think about yoga in America, you think anything but Black men, right? But I think if we knew the benefits of practicing yoga, how it can make you feel, how tapping into the breath and the pranayama, how that can all just like equalize your entire being and keep you a little more calm, I think people would be more open to it. And so that might be in the church, having someone come in and teach a yoga class. But a lot of people think like, oh, it started in India. India is the first place where documented yoga, but there has been yoga prior to the documentation of the practice in India. There's Kemetic yoga, which started in Egypt. So it's just like a lot of different types of yoga that you can explore with a friend, you can explore on your own, or I'm here to explore it with you.
Okay, okay. And this is Carmen Dayne, so she does actually post yoga every day. Am I correct? Every day?
No, not every day,
Right.
but I do practice
Slow down.
set up. But
I thought you're supposed to work out every day.
I do.
You're supposed to drink water every day.
I practice every day, but I don't post it every day.
Okay. So for those of you that are on Instagram, you can go and follow her on Instagram and see some of the things that she provides with the vinyasa flow yoga and all. Okay, so
I wanted to jump in. Yeah, well, you might have a question for me, but I wanted to jump in and just say one of the things that's been really interesting and powerful to see over this last year, maybe y'all have seen it, is just a lot more celebrities coming out, and especially in the African American community, talking about meditation. Because so specifically, I remember during the pandemic reading an article where Cam Newton said he has started meditating during the pandemic and during quarantine, and the impact that it had on his spiritual life. And then just the other night, I was watching basketball, and James Wiseman, who is the second pick or the third pick in the draft with the Golden State Warriors, is the new rookie. Yeah. They just tossed out. They just like were talking about him, and he just, they said, oh, he talked that he meditates 15 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night, and like the impact that has on him. And and I'm seeing so many different people just talking about it more and more, and it's exciting to see. So yeah, I just wanted to share that piece.
Okay, I think that's very intriguing, and so how I was sharing with you all earlier, Tim and I met through the prison system while I was a chaplain in the prison system, and so his company was providing meditation sessions for our guys. It had gotten to the point that because we were probably so stressed and running to codes and all that kind of stuff that at the time, the warden, we agreed to even try to have meditation for our staff before they started their shift. So we didn't get a chance to really kind of roll that program out fully because, hey, we were always running to codes and all that kind of stuff, or always short. So, Mr. Bryant, tell us how has, or maybe share with us some of the statistics on how meditation has helped those that are behind walls, and even just outside your experience with that, and some of the things that you have seen, how it has helped those individuals. Because I know just working at the prison when you were coming, I would have some guys, they would just be, they were dead in, like they were locked in, and they would be like, hey, we really need this. And I'd be like, hey, I'm really trying. But, because of other things, sometimes we had to, reschedule. But so kind of share with us from that perspective some of the things that it has.
That was a tremendous group, man, at Macon State Prison. That was like an unbelievable class. I miss it so much. There was such, just such like depth and sincerity. And then the meditations were so still, like it was so still. And the guys would always say, they're like, I know there were people moving around back there, but I didn't notice them at all. And I noticed there were sounds, and they're like, but for that period of time, I felt like I wasn't in prison. I felt like for that period of time, I was not in prison. So, I've thought about this a lot for myself. I'm like, why meditation? There's so many different things you could teach people, and there's so many things to teach and learn. And I'm like, why meditation? But for me, it's that meditation for me is like, it's the simplest. It's cut, everything has a 10-point plan, and there are things to study and there are things to read. And I'm not against any of that, but there is something, I'm for it. I do that. But there is something that is so powerful about just sitting quietly with oneself. And for me, it's such a powerful experience. And what I notice, what happens all the time when I go into the prisons is we sit there and, I'll guide them through a meditation. But one of the things, it's just about relaxing. It's nothing real complex, but they always say, no matter where I go, they always go, man, I have not felt this good in a long time. I have not felt this peace in a long time. And to me, that's priceless, to touch that place, to feel that peace. And they say, I can let go of all my worries. I can let go of my concerns, and I can feel like the spirit. I can feel the spirit of God in me. And they're like, and you can see it in their faces. And like you said, those students at the prison where you were at, man, they were just on fire for it. They just wanted it, and they felt it. Right. And so it's funny because there are a lot of statistics. There's a lot of statistics. Most people in prison I read a study the other day that was so sad. It said that literally almost 100% of people in prison are experiencing symptoms of PTSD. And most people obviously were experiencing symptoms of PTSD before they got into prison, as part of the reason why, they're there, because of the trauma in their lives. But prison does not help with that trauma. It only exacerbates it. And so what our class does, it's a refuge for them, and they feel that, and it's a refuge for them to remember who they truly are, to let go of those concerns, to let go of those worries, and to sort of cultivate a relationship with themselves that's positive. And so, there's study after study that shows the benefits of meditation in prison. In fact, there's one recent one that I saw that was actually not just specifically meditation related, but I thought it was really profound, which was one of the things that I love about what we do is that we actually go physically into the prison and do these classes. And there was a study that came out that showed when outside organizations come in and regularly do classes, there is a 30% reduction in recidivism. There's a 30% reduction in people who have people coming in from the outside continually. It increases their ability to be successful on the outside and to have support on the outside. And I thought that was a phenomenal study. Like, they need our love, they need our support. And so, yeah,
I totally agree with you. Not only does I would say the prisoners go through that PTSD, but the staff members as well.
Yes.
And so I had the privilege of serving as the EAP director for one of the prisons. And as serving as the EAP director, a lot of times, or coordinator, a lot of times people will come to you and they'll tell you things on top of being the chaplain. They'll tell you things you're like, whoa, like, this is way above my pay grade. Like, I can lead you in the right direction, but I really don't know what to do. And a lot of it has to deal with just some of the trauma that has been witnessed, seen. And a lot of times you go through that trauma and you are expected to bounce back. Like, you go through this trauma, and then the very next day or the next hour is just things back at normal and as usual. And I know, as far as production wise, okay, you have to do that. But in the reality, in the grand scheme of things, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and for some of us, even spiritually, we have been shooken to our core. And so oftentimes we have to have a real life, just whatever, to make sure that we are processing everything correctly, that we are looking at it from a realistic approach. One of the questions that was submitted was, would you consider grounding as a form of meditation? Now, I don't know what grounding is. This is one of my classmates. I don't know what grounding is. So, tell me first, what is grounding?
Do you want to go?
What
Tim,
would you say? You go. Yeah, go ahead, Carmen.
Grounding is when you go outside in some grass and basically you take your shoes off and you put your feet in grass. And so we have a bunch of positive ions going in our body. The earth is negative, so it kind of like grounds you when you're like up here. Having your feet in the earth for a certain amount of time grounds you, makes you feel more level and grounded.
Okay.
So it's a scientific thing that if you put your feet in the earth, on the earth for 5 minutes a day, it'll help to ground you and you'll get those negative ions coming from the earth.
Okay. Okay.
But I would say that definitely could be a form of meditation for sure. For sure.
I'll be concerned about the ants and all that.
Yeah.
It's all nature.
I mean, okay, I'm not a nature boy.
If you can handle the ant, then you can handle the boss. No, I don't know.
I don't know, because let me tell y'all, like this
No.
season, I had bought this tree, and the tree had flock or whatever that stuff is on it.
Wow.
And you know the white stuff on the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's called. Whatever. Okay, so
Type that in the chat.
it broke me out. What in the world?
It broke you out.
Yeah.
That's why you get an artificial tree. So,
It was artificial.
Oh, really?
That's what it was. That flock. Who knows what that is?
Right. Okay. All right, classmate. She said she got a sandbox. Okay. All right.
That sounds great. Yeah.
You know, in that sandbox, ants can still get in the sandbox. All right, so we have another question. A dear friend of mine, Bishop Gregory Tolliver, he's out of Houston, Texas. He asked, "How does a Christian tell the difference?" And to clarify, what he's meaning is Christian and the non-type of yoga or meditation. He's basically saying sifting through the stigma. How do you tell the difference between the two? What is healthy, what's good, and what is that borderline? You done went way over here, and now you talking to dead people. I don't know.
What? So I would say, as far as yoga and meditation are concerned, they're both practices. I think a lot of times we as Christians get yoga confused with a religion because that's what we've been told, but it's a philosophy. It's not a religion. Now, you might go into a yoga studio and they may have a Buddha in the front, but it's not a religion. They're not like praying to Buddha or anything like that. It just depends on the atmosphere that the yoga studio owner wants to provide, whatever her decorations are. I have never been in a class where they said anything about Buddha or anyone else. Now, that's me personally. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There are some types of yoga that are a little bit more religious. But for example, the yoga studio that I attend up here, it's Black owned, and they don't have any Buddhas or anything up there. They do burn candles like anyone else. But even in the practice, even the things that they are saying, I've never heard anyone say, okay, now let's take this offering to Buddha or something like that. And the same thing with meditation. You're just sitting there. So if you're a Christian, the things that you're going to meditate on and focus on would be different from the things that someone who's Nation of Islam that is also practicing meditation will do, because your minds are going in two different directions. So it's not aligned with a specific religion, would be my answer.
Okay.
And
You can go ahead.
yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, that's great. That's perfect. And you know, it's funny at the end when you were saying that, Carmen, it made me just like had the awareness of, you know, a Christian prays, a Muslim prays, a Jewish person prays, a Buddhist prays, but we don't say is prayer. You know, wait, somebody that other religion prays too. Should we not pray? And I heard someone say one time, I thought this was really great, that they're like, do you have to change your religion to meditate? And someone said, do you change your religion when you go to sleep? And they're like, no, they're like, sleep is a state. It's a state that you enter. Meditation is the same thing. It's just a relaxed state. You don't have to change your religion to meditate. And one of the things that's been profound in our classes, is making it open to any religion. So anybody can come. So the class like we had it in Macon State Prison, there were Muslims there. There were Christians there. There were atheists there. They actually said it was one of the things that they loved, that like they could actually come together and share ideas and like be with each other, because most of the time they're split apart by their religion. And that actually like our class was sort of very unifying for them to be able to come together. But then each person would then apply what they learned to their own religion. Like I think one of the most powerful things you can use meditation for is to take a piece of scripture or a teaching and to repeat it, write it down, and then like look at it, read it, and then quietly just relax your mind, relax your thoughts, and like ask God for, to understand this better and to actually sort of meditate on a piece of scripture. And any religion can do that. And so you definitely can craft, for me, my meditation is very much just sitting there and breathing. It is not tied to it's not tied to a religion. It's a practice.
Yeah, I have to totally agree with you on that. Because I think one thing that we misconstrue, one thing that we don't really look at properly in Christian faith, when it says to meditate, a lot of times when we think about meditation, we're thinking about, just whatever. But I like the way you put it as far as taking that scripture, thinking on that scripture, meditating on that scripture, writing it down, and taking time to really dissect it. Usually, I guess you could probably say most pastors probably meditate because we're preparing for a sermon, but we probably should be doing the same thing for our everyday life, our lifestyle. Because if we really want to be a good Christian or a good Muslim or, a good Hindu or whatever it is that we practice and whatever our faith is, we have to make sure that we are doing what it says. And oftentimes we are not doing, I can say this really opened my eyes a lot working in the prison system. I think out of all of the religious groups that I helped serve, the people that were, and they still knew, but they weren't as well versed in their belief, and that was Christians. Everybody else, well versed, had it down pat, know what they're supposed to do, what you can do, were disciplined, in what they believed, and that didn't change my belief. It actually made me want to do more, or want to be more. I guess looking at what I needed to do in order to be better as a Christian. So yeah.
And also, the word meditate shows up in the word over 30 times. So it all just depends on what you think meditate means to you. And so, like Bishop Gregory Tolliver said, it could be a Baptist hymn.
It could.
Mm-hmm.
It could. It could be a Baptist hymn. It definitely could. Well, anyone else would like to share any final things? I know we've been on here now for about 40 minutes or so I didn't want to take up much of you all's time, but I hope you guys enjoyed this session as we were talking about meditating and the importance of meditation. And no matter what your religious belief is, that it should be that you are looking at it from a different perspective. So, any closing thoughts, Carmen, Tim?
Tim, you can go first.
I want you to go at the end, so I'll go first. Thank you.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to say I appreciate this conversation. This is fantastic. And I would love to stay in touch with anybody who's on here. So even just to, just to be connected. So like you said, there's my Instagram on there. And then our website for our organization is One Love Prison Meditation Project. It's onelovepmp.org. But you send me an email or an Instagram, and because I would love to just stay in touch with the folks that we've been talking with. So thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Yes, and I would just like to say that I'm grateful that Jamie, thank you for inviting us on to speak. Also, you can connect with me on Instagram. There's my handle. Jamie put it up. I do think it's important that we all find a meditation practice. And I think that when you are able to see the differences that it makes in your life, it'll make more sense to you, as opposed to what you've been told. You can do your own research, and then that way you know that you are making the good decision for yourself, but also listen to what God says. What does he think about you meditating? And I promise he'll give you the right answer.
Well, thank you guys so much. Like I said, every Monday evening, I'm going to be doing one of these sessions. So next Monday, we'll be doing something different. And probably, I'm pretty sure, because it seems like we have some people that are interested in meditating, we probably will have you guys to come back. So make sure y'all jump over to IG, go follow Carmen, go follow Tim, and make sure that you're in the know of what's going on. So until next week, and I look forward to coming to you again live next Monday evening. So have a good evening. Enjoy Monday Night Football and all that good stuff. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Carmen.
Thanks,
Bye.
y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to finally make them a Dallas fan. Today,
Ooh. What? Is that
Dallas.
blasphemy?
Who?
Dallas, go Dallas, right?
Nah, it's never.
Are y'all playing tonight?
No.
He's happy they actually won yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So
I stopped watching. I stopped when my Vikings got out. I stopped paying attention. So.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night.
you too.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
God bless everyone.